Hi, my name is Rodolfo Martinez, and this is my reflection video for week 2. Uh, this week, when I read the chapters, the chapter the chapter 2 was interesting just because it was interesting to see the history of public speaking and how it went from the Greeks to the Romans and down the line. Um, where I found myself more interested in was the chapter 3, the ethics chapter. Sorry, my mind just went blank on double checking that. Yes, the ethics in public speaking. I found that one more interesting because as a public speaker, there is definitely a way of speaking to people. Um, Sometimes you'll have people who just go off the handle and say whatever they want to say, and then there are people who know how to read the crowd and to know their audience, as kind of what we're talking about this week. Um, so I definitely found that more interesting, and especially um, in regards, sorry, um, like for example, there's the language of we versus you. When people use the we language, the audience tends to feel more connected to the speaker because it's like, hey, they're one of us, compared to when a speaker uses just strictly you language, and it's kind of just like a parent scolding their child, like, hey, you did this wrong. And sometimes I know when I've found myself in an audience where the speaker used mainly you verbiage, that's kind of how I felt. Um, Even in ministry, like even on Sunday mornings, like at a previous church that I've attended, there was always a lot of like you verbiage being used in the sermon, and it's kind of like the preacher coming across as, I'm better than you. In which, where I'm going to church now, um, the preacher uses a lot of we verbiage, saying, "Hey, we all make mistakes. Hey, we're all sinners saved by grace," and it makes me appreciate my pastor more. Um, Another thing is that I learned in chapter 3 was the raising social awareness. Um, Especially in the day and age that we live in right now, there's a lot of um, social awareness that needs to happen. That is happening, and sometimes um, people aren't using proper communication methods. Um, and so it's whenever someone tries to do give a speech and they're not using proper methods, it can come across very wrong. Um, so, being aware, whether it's racism, the LGBT issue in America, right now in America we're dealing with DACA and immigration, and, depending, um, those are all very tough issues that we are facing as a nation. And so to have, people just talk out of whatever they're just wanting to say without being aware of who they're talking to, it can lead to a lot of issues. I mean, and we've seen that with this presidency. We've seen that with our government leaders lately. Um, People just making comments and not really thinking. Um, so yeah, one way that I know that I'll definitely use this in future ministry endeavors, or if I ever go into ministry, or even just career wise, is to definitely be conscious of who I'm speaking to. As a biblical studies major, hopefully double majoring with social work or counseling, um, ministry, or even in social work, you're dealing with very sensitive topics, dealing with very sensitive issues that people are going through, and so to um, be able to talk to that person on a level that nobody has talked to them before on is very beneficial And so that's one thing I'm definitely taking away, is learning how to do that, is how to talk to somebody on a level, and help them understand that um, they're not, that it's not just a you and you're going through this one. It's like, hey, it's a we thing. Hey, I've been there. I know people who've been there, and how to communicate that.